Across the outer sectors of the galaxy, there were many names whispered in fear. Names of warlords, destroyers, and merciless conquerors. But none of them carried the same weight as Kael'thra. Entire star systems trembled when her fleet appeared in orbit. Traders abandoned routes. Governments surrendered without a fight. Even the brutal war clans of the Orion Belt spoke her name quietly, as if afraid she might somehow hear them. They called her the Crimson Sovereign. No one knew exactly how old she was. Some claimed she had lived for centuries. Others believed she had simply conquered so many worlds that time itself bent around her legend. What everyone agreed on was simple. Kael'thra was unstoppable. Her species, the Varelians, were already known as one of the most formidable warrior races in the galaxy. But Kael'thra was something more. Faster, stronger, smarter, and colder. She never negotiated, never showed mercy, never hesitated. When she claimed a planet, it became hers. And when she punished someone, no one survived to tell the story. The prisoner. The massive warship Obsidian Crown drifted silently above a dead moon on the edge of human territory. Inside its armored hull, a human soldier sat in chains. Daniel Reyes had been a reconnaissance officer for the Terran Coalition fleet. 2 weeks earlier, his scout ship had stumbled into a Varelian patrol. The fight had lasted less than 30 seconds. Now he was a prisoner aboard the most feared flagship in the galaxy. A pair of alien guards stood outside his containment chamber. Their black armor gleamed under the cold lights of the corridor. Daniel leaned against the metal wall and sighed. So, he muttered to himself. Captured by the worst person in the galaxy. Could be worse, I guess. The guards ignored him. For hours, nothing happened. Then suddenly, the corridor lights dimmed. The guard stiffened. Heavy footsteps echoed down the hallway. Slow, deliberate, powerful. The guards immediately knelt. Daniel looked up. A tall figure stepped into view. She was taller than any human woman, nearly 7 feet. Her dark armor looked almost organic, shaped like overlapping plates of obsidian metal. Her skin had a faint silver tone, and her long white hair flowed behind her like liquid light. But it was her eyes that froze Daniel in place. Glowing crimson. Cold. Ancient. He knew instantly who she was. Kael'thra. The Crimson Sovereign herself. The interrogation. The guards unlocked the containment field. Daniel's chains dropped to the floor with a clatter. Kael'thra stepped inside the chamber. The temperature seemed to drop instantly. She studied him in silence for several long seconds. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was calm and deep. You are human. Daniel gave a small shrug. Last time I checked. The guards shifted nervously. Most prisoners begged. Most screamed. This one joked. Kael'thra's gaze sharpened. You entered my territory. Didn't mean to, Daniel replied. Navigation glitch. She stepped closer. Humans lie poorly. Yeah, Daniel admitted. But sometimes we try anyway. Silence filled the room again. Kael'thra circled him slowly. Daniel noticed something strange. She wasn't looking at him like prey. She was studying him, analyzing, curious. You are not afraid, she said. Daniel shrugged again. I mean, I probably should be. Her crimson eyes narrowed. Yet you are not. Well, he said, you haven't killed me yet. So that's a good sign. A faint ripple moved across the room. The guards froze. Because for the briefest moment, Kael'thra almost looked amused. The legend. The interrogation lasted hours. But it wasn't torture. It was conversation. Kael'thra asked questions about Earth, about human governments, about how humans fought wars. Daniel answered most of them honestly. Eventually, he asked one of his own. So, is it true? He said. Her gaze lifted slightly. Explain. that you wiped out 3 entire fleets by yourself. One of the guards inhaled sharply. Kael'thas said nothing. Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. I mean, I've heard stories, but stories get exaggerated. Silence. Then she finally spoke. They were not exaggerated. Daniel blinked. Oh. He leaned back against the wall. Okay, that's impressive. The guards stared at him in disbelief. No one reacted to Kael'thas like that. Most people collapsed in terror just standing near her. But Daniel simply looked curious. Kael'thas studied him again. Your species is strange. Daniel grinned. You have no idea. The truth. 3 days passed. Daniel remained a prisoner. But something unusual happened. Kael'thas kept returning. Not to interrogate. To talk. She asked him about human music, human food, human history. The questions became personal. Finally, during one of their conversations, Daniel asked the one question that had been bothering him. Why are you doing this? She looked at him. This conversation? Yeah. He leaned forward slightly. You could have executed me the moment I arrived. Silence filled the chamber. Then she answered quietly. Because you did something no one else has done in centuries. Daniel frowned. What's that? Her crimson eyes met his. You spoke to me as if I were a person. He blinked. You are a person. No, she said calmly. I am a weapon. The moment. Days later, something changed. An alarm suddenly blared across the warship. Red lights flashed across the corridor. One of the guards rushed in. Commander, enemy fleet approaching. Kael'thas' expression instantly hardened. Identify. Terran coalition warships. Daniel's eyes widened. They came for me? Kael'thas turned to him. For their scout. Daniel shook his head. No, that's not standard protocol. Then realization hit him. Oh. She tilted her head. Explain. Daniel sighed. They didn't come to rescue me. The warship trembled as distant explosions shook space. They came to destroy you. The choice. Outside the viewport, human warships surrounded the obsidian crown. Missiles streaked through space. Energy beams carved across shields. Inside the chamber, Daniel looked at Kael'thas. You should probably go command your fleet. She didn't move. Instead, she studied him carefully. You will die if they destroy this ship. Yeah, he said. Probably. Another explosion rocked the hull. Then something unexpected happened. Kael'thas reached forward and touched his arm. The guards froze. Because no one had ever seen Kael'thas touch someone gently. Her silver fingers rested lightly on his wrist. Daniel looked down at her hand, then back up at her. You're worried about me? She didn't answer. Instead, she turned toward the guards. Release him. The guards stared in shock. Commander. That is an order. The chains unlocked. Daniel rubbed his wrists. You're letting me go? Kael'thas looked at him one last time. Yes. Why? Her voice was quieter now. Because you reminded me what I once was. The battle. Daniel was escorted to an escape shuttle. But before the door closed, he looked back. Kael'thas stood alone in the hangar bay. Her long white hair moved gently in the artificial wind. Hey, Daniel called. She turned slightly. You don't have to fight them alone. Her eyes glowed softly. I always fight alone. The shuttle door sealed. Moments later, Daniel's escape pod launched into space. Behind him, the obsidian crown surged forward into battle. The ending. The battle lasted nearly 2 hours. Daniel watched from the edge of the battlefield. The human fleet attacked relentlessly, but Kael'thas fought like a storm. 3 cruisers destroyed. 2 carriers crippled. The battlefield burned with debris. Finally, the last Terran ship retreated. The Varelian flagship remained. Damaged.
scarred,
but victorious. Days later, Daniel returned to Earth. His report shocked the Terran Council. "She let you go?" the Admiral asked. Daniel nodded.
"Yeah. Why?"
He thought about the moment she touched his arm. "I think she just needed someone to see her." Months passed. The galaxy waited for the next conquest of the Crimson Sovereign. But something strange happened. Kel'Thuz's fleet stopped expanding. No new worlds fell.
No new wars began.
Across the galaxy, rumors spread. Some said the Crimson Sovereign had grown bored of conquest. Others claimed she was preparing something far worse. But Daniel had a different theory. Far away, aboard the repaired obsidian crown, Kel'Thuz stood alone in her command chamber. Her hand rested lightly on the railing where Daniel had once stood. For the first time in centuries, the most feared woman in the galaxy felt something unfamiliar. Not power, not anger, not conquest. Something softer, something human. And somewhere deep within her ancient heart, a quiet thought formed. Perhaps the galaxy did not need to fear her anymore. Because once, just once, a human had dared to touch her. And everything had changed.